err is human, to forgive is divine. Citing Alexander Pope, this is a saying in English. A very good morning to everybody who is listening to this input, this insights. I'm Julia, a German member of the Verbum Dei, living in the San Francisco Bay Area. And so, again, welcome to these Thursday reflections on healing. Healing in a world that is full of personal and communal distraught and loss, grief and sickness. Healing in a world that offers us all we need to live in peace, shalom, harmony, beauty and justice. In these past weeks, I have invited us to rethink aspects of healing that sometimes are not immediately connected with it. And because of that, I have been developing what I call a new alphabet. A new alphabet to support the journey of each and every one of us in healing during this time in a globalized world. We began with A for aware, B for behold, C for seizing, D for drink, and today E for I actually wasn't sure about the pronunciation of this term, and in US American English it is much more pronounced like air, sounding for my ears like the air you breathe. One of the many mysteries I will never understand in this language. How do you know that something that is pronounced the same is written so differently and means, of course, completely different things? So I thought during this little morning reflection, I will keep it to the England English We might set out thinking that making mistakes, erring in our life, is not desirable for our journey of healing. Rather that we should follow the advice of doctors and integrative medicine practitioners, that we should follow intracultural leadership trainings and social equity seminars, and learn from the ones who we call our mentors and teachers, and be perfect. However, nobody can live the life of healing for us. Nobody can live our life experience for us. And so we can ask ourselves, can I actually ever heal in myself and in this society if I don't err? Is it possible that the transmission of knowledge in medical, cultural, political, social context can be so complete and perfect that I do not need to err? I doubt it. What anchors the knowledge in us, in our very experience of missing the outcome, the praxis, or as I said earlier, the incarnation or embodiment of the insight transmitted to me. Because in the end, it is not about learning regarding the carcinogen sugar spikes in my bloodstream or unequal opportunities in the public school system in the USA, but that I miss a body that feels balanced and a society with voices that lead decision-making in companies, corporations, and in politics, are diverse in color, background, gender, and opinions. I miss balance. So many voices are excluded from the table because they never had the chance to hone their talents, their intelligence, their personalities. I am deprived of their presence. I miss them. Or in a personal health setting, missing a body that is not bound by pain, by nausea and exhaustion. Knowledge is information that gets integrated with experience, and no human experience can exist outside of the possibility and frequently the fact of error. Until information has not been integrated, it remains information without impacting the social or personal behavior on a practical level. We have proclaimed as Christians for 6 weeks now, the Lord is risen. Hallelujah, hallelujah. But it will not be this information, but the witness, the experience, the integration that is going to extend this information as life-changing knowledge. All the moments I straightforward roll the stone back to close the open tomb instead of witnessing its emptiness. I need those moments because I'm missing the hope of the hallelujah in them. In those moments, I begin to ask, to change, to live. So might I convince you that human erring on the journey of healing is something positive, making mistakes? And I'm not talking about erring morally, but erring in the process of healing. Perhaps if we can cease to feel guilt and start drinking, quenching our thirst of the gift of courage and faith, as we heard in the last 2 weeks, perhaps could it be possible? I'm wondering sometimes when the Apostles didn't feel guilty anymore about all the small stupidities they did with Jesus for 3 years. All the erring, being afraid of not to have bread again, just a couple of days after Jesus made 5,000 people sit down to be satisfied with a couple of loaves of bread and some fishes. Their daily erring and simplicity, nothing big, but simply not being perfect. When did they stop feeling guilty about not living up to the standards they probably were more putting on themselves than that Jesus would demand it from them? When did they begin to discover their unique errings as a door for not being exactly the same in the discipleship? Imagine Mary Magdalene, Mary the Mother of God, Peter, Matthew, the beloved disciples, erring in finding their unique personal way of fitness of life, personally and socially. Healing is no cookie-cutter journey. There are cornerstones, psychological insights, and socially relevant data. But only in our very personal experience by the way of erring we will find our own way of embodying the way of healing in this world. The etymology of err is actually leading us to the verb to wander, like to walk, but not straight ahead, rather to wander around, perhaps too far even, to go astray, but more than anything to look around, to perceive. Many people have asked me, Julia, how is it possible that you know San Francisco so well by car? And I say, because I've gotten lost so many times in all its one-way streets. Nothing teaches you a way better than if you have lost yourself. At least if you have an average understanding of directions, there's nothing that teaches you directions better than getting lost. There are some hopeless cases, though, I have to say. Under my friends, I remember one of them who are visiting me 1,000 times and still wants to turn left instead of right when getting out of my front door to walk back to the main street. However, that is not an error. That is rather what we love in people, said our friends. In psychology, certain schools of training focus on detecting in people so-called inconsistencies, a discrepancy between their intellectual understanding and their daily behavior. Very obviously, as greater the inconsistencies, as more difficult it is for the person to live commitments, relationships, and so on. However, I have asked myself, even many years before I wrote some research about it, aren't certain inconsistencies, certain amount of erring important in our human life to generate the creativity, to overcome, to grow, to integrate, to strive to develop something different? Your marriage, your religious vows, your social justice work. How many most important developments have happened because of mistakes, because of an error? To say the earliest research on antibiotics was started because someone hadn't cleaned out the microscopic dishes properly, and they found some with mold and some without after having them stashed away for a long period of time. So the question was raised, why did some of those dirty glass dishes have no mold? Was it an error not to wash those dishes properly? I would say so. And this is not an invitation, by the way, not to do your dishes anymore. I think I would get in trouble with your family or community members. But it shows how our erring brings us to question ourselves, our processes, our ways of doing things. That doesn't justify our erring, for sure not. But instead of guilt, it invites us to be human and to learn from our mistakes. It has come to me during this time. Can we learn from the terrible errings during the time of a pandemic? Can we ask questions why it hits some areas, communities and circumstances so much harder than others? Can we challenge our previous knowledge of the society we are living in? And can we challenge it creatively to change it to better ways? Is this justifying the terrible earth that led to even more death and iniquities? No, nothing would be further from what I would like to say. But we cannot just ignore them. Or perhaps worse, blocked by guilt, and we continue as if nothing happened. But rather, can't we deeply be touched by them, deep enough to feel the despair in them, so that we can strive to overcome, to integrate, to heal? If there would not have been the desire after the Second World War to learn from the terrible errings, which none of them were justified, but there would be no democracy in Germany today if we wouldn't have learned. Perhaps let us hope that the global situation of the pandemic, and to only name a few, the new cyclones in Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, northern India, the situation of children migrants at the US border, and the refugee camp all over the world, which have made us so acutely aware of the need for social and personal healing, does not get ignored in all the errings that even have complicated the situations more. Perhaps I'm not sure, may I ask, how do we experience ourselves ready in the Easter season of 2020 to take the next step in the challenge of our personal and social journey of healing, erring but striving, with mistakes but overcoming, not always right away, but healing.